So I absolutely positively have to make sure that I have a rune for it, and I don't need to depend on not having a rune up. I would rather save my blood tap for Strangulate and get a clutch Strangulate than I would use it for DPS at the beginning. I'm positive, at least for me, that this works better. Next button is my Death Grip. Oh, and obviously Strangulate's on a round robin. I've got a half-second delay on those. I'll show you that stuff later. And then my Death Grip is the same way. It's on a round robin. When I Death Grip, every time I hit the button to Death Grip, it also hits my Outbreak key on everybody, with the idea being if Outbreak is off cooldown, I'm Death Gripping somebody and I should be off the global cooldown, so they should get the 4 outbreaks hit them as soon as they get Death Gripped in, which is huge. I think that's a really important thing. Like I said, it's all about squeezing things down into as few buttons as you possibly can to make the team work. It's really hard to heal while you're DPSing, make sure you're on the right target, and then swapping targets and making the whole thing come together is really hard sometimes. So attaching Outbreak to Death Grip means that when you're jibbing that first target, you're Death Gripping them in, they're diseased as soon as they get in, and then just boom, you're in their face. So anyways, that's my Death Grip, and then Anti-Magic Shell, Icebound, Fortitude, Trinket. My Lichborne is actually a macro. I'm going to take this moment to tell you that after much thought and 2 race changes, I finally admitted to Void and McCoy on the forums that I was wrong. Worgen isn't the best race. They're all human. I'm positive Gnome's the best, and here's why. Escape Artist is going to a 1.5 minute cooldown, and this team is, in my experience so far, I lose to roots. I don't lose to snares, I don't lose to stuns, I don't lose to spell cleaves, like, on the basis of their damage. I've got enough resilience, I've got enough healing, I've got enough burst that I can immediately take at least one of their DPS out of the question where they cannot DPS me because they have to blow defensive cooldowns or they will die. So, it's roots that stop me. It's only roots. Snares, I'll match your snares. I match your snares with my snares and my Death Grip. The only thing that stops me in this game are roots. If mages did not have AE roots, this would be a 2200 team right now. I guarantee you each of the DK teams that are playing, at least here in Legion of Boom, would be 2200, no question in my mind. So my macro here for Lichborne does a couple things. So first, my C button is my out of combat. Everybody interacts with targets so that I can complete quests and stuff like that with them. And then my Lichborne macro does this. If I'm in combat, it will Lichborne an Escape Artist. Now the funny thing is, on live right now, you can try and hit Escape Artist as much as you like. It does not go off unless you are rooted, unless there's something you can dispel. Now on the PTR that's changed, and that's fine, I don't have a problem with it. But at least for now, there's no reason not to have it macroed into Lichborne. And also, you can see it's up here on my DPS bar. It's on my spam bar. So my idea here is that this team wins by jibbing your target. You get that first target down just the way that Shamans worked originally with multiboxing and all the way through the seasons. You win by getting one of their targets down before they get a chance to do anything to you. And that's why I think the DKs are still the best. I've kind of been toying around with the idea of adding one warrior to the team. Because the warrior burst is amazing, and it gives the other team an opportunity to pick the wrong target to DPS. All of a sudden, they might go Paladin, they might go warrior, they might go one of the 3 DKs. And I don't think you would lose that much by subbing out one DK. You're going to spend more time with your Paladin, babysitting him with Blessing of Freedom or Hand of Freedom and all that other junk. But it's something I'm toying around with. But as it stands now, for that first 10-15 seconds of a fight, you blow Anti-Magic Shell, and you blow Icebound Fortitude, and you blow Pillar of Frost, you're basically un-CCable. There's nothing in the game that can CC you. And with Escape Artist and your Trinket, you can basically guarantee a kill against any target that that doesn't have a single ability click that like deterrence or dispersion or self bubble. I kill tons of people through handed protection because so much of my damage is magic. So handed protection is a non-issue to me. So you're totally bursting people down with anti-magic shell, icebound fortitude, trinket, escape artist, all of those and pillar of frost. All of those abilities help you make it through the initial CC barrage that's going to be coming at you. So to me, there's no reason not to pop Lichborne and Escape Artist at the same time. I don't know if you guys knew, but Lichborne also prevents you from being sheeped too. That's also a really big deal. So there's no reason initially, whenever you get on your target, just boom, blow Lichborne and escape. And as it stands now, again, you can just spam it whenever you do get rooted or snared, and Escape Artist will take it off for you. So that's my macro there. My DPS button here, I'm coming back to Dark Sim, don't worry guys. Empire Rune Weapon, it uses my Trinket, this one right here. It increases strength by 15-20 for 20 seconds. I want one DPS button for when I try out Unholy, so it also casts Unholy Frenzy, casts Pillar of Frost, and casts Raise Dead. And when you spam this button, it'll do all of these, because Unholy Frenzy, the Trinket, and Rune Weapon are all off the global cooldown. Pillar of Frost and Raise Dead are on the global cooldown, but what are you going to do? They both go through, it works. You just have to spam it for a second or two, and it'll all go through. And then Dark Sim, obviously, it's just its own button right now. Dark Sim, to me, I think Cromtor, he's posted quite a few times in various different places and said that basically the exact same thing. Like, that's the one place where there's room for tons of growth with this team. So, what I think you can do with Dark Sim is you're going to make a macro that looks something like cast Dark Simulacrum as your first line. And then all of the rest of your lines are going to be cast whatever spell you're stealing at arena target something or other. So like, you're going to want to save it for very particular abilities like Polymorph or Frost Nova or Blink or something like that. But I guess in my mind what I see happening is stealing CC and then having each of these guys have their own arena target. So like, this is my first DK. So number 1 DK would have cast Dark Simulacrum, and then the next line would be like cast Polymorph at arena target 1, cast Hex at arena target 1, cast Frost Nova, those abilities, and then the second one would have it at arena target 2, and then 3 and 4, and so on like that. Again, I would love to sit down and have some discussion about Dark Sim. I think there's a lot of room for growth with Dark Sim. So anyways, that's basically my DK bar, and we'll go ahead and I guess we will talk about how I have my DPS set up right now. So it's the exact same thing as the last setup. If you go to ISBoxer, this is my button. I spam with spacebar. Jump is a button on my mouse. And it does two things. It has 2 steps. Step 1, it sends F9 to everybody, it FTL assists, it interacts with target, and it does my test interrupt key. Now I've already described how the test interrupt works. Basically I get a mind freeze every 2.5 seconds on the target. I've tested it for hours. It works perfectly. You can go straight back to the other manifesto and you can take a look at it. It works perfectly. So this is whenever I down press, it does all these. So down press is F9, test interrupt, interact, and it assists. And then step 2 is when the spacebar comes up, and it does test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it interacts with target. And then the test 1 is shift F9, and then test 2 is alt F9, and then like shift control and alt F, all those modified F9 keys. They all get sent to all the windows. So what you'll see is, now in game, whenever I down press, it always prioritizes Howling Blast, so it will always try and Howling Blast if it's available. And then on the up press, it tries to do all of these buttons. So 1 Howling Blast, 1 Necrotic Strike, 2 Frost Strikes, a Blood Strike, and Escape Artist. Remember, this is just until the patch goes live, and once escape, you're going to have to pull Escape Artist off your bar. So what you see when you have this setup is prioritizes Howling Blast. I get if you run the numbers based off of 3 Necrotic Strikes every 10 seconds, to maybe 2.5 is about average, somewhere around there. It depends on how the rune resets work. Sometimes you'll get a lot more unholy rune refreshes. What's the name of the ability? Yeah. Or no, it's a random. Anyways, basically, I get decent DPS doing this. When you factor in Necrotic Strike, maybe about 10.5k, somewhere around there. Not quite 11k, I would say. Um, and then that's basically, this is the best rotation I've found playing on the dummies. So 2 Frost Strikes on the down press, 1 Howling Blast, and then these are on the up presses. 1 Howling Blast, 1 Necrotic Strike, 2 Frost Strikes, 1 Blood Strike, and then Escape Artist is just thrown in there. Now, this is my latest innovation and something I'm really happy with. If you talk to any of the other guys that I play with here in Legion of Boom, I love sitting and playing with macros. I love sitting and playing with IS Boxer. I love trying to make this as efficient as possible. So this is doing the stupid hand quotes. This is my latest creation. Basically, what I have felt like is, in order to make this team work, you need to do 2 things. One, you need to maximize Dark Sim. I think that's the one area of growth that exists for the team. So we can talk about Dark Sim. We'll talk, on the forums. We'll figure that out. The other area is Hungering Cold. Hungering Cold is ridiculous. It diseases them, it CCs them within 10 yards, and it costs no runic power because we have it glyphed. It's insane. Here's why it's insane. You have 4 death grips. There's no reason not to death grip in a caster and DPS that caster and force their melee to come to you. So theoretically, if you are able to control Hungering Cold efficiently and smartly, what you'll end up with is one person that you're CCing and the rest of their melee will be CC'd. Or if they're running a 2 healer 3 DPS setup, you death grip in one of their healers, and then you're DPSing their healer and you're CCing everybody else. There you see McCoy Dan testing out with his DKs, looks like. So I found a way to run Hungering Cold and make it work without having to, with the minimal amount of effort possible. And here's what I did. Let's show you IS Boxer. So it's going to be a bunch of technical mumbo jumbo. Bear with me. So the first thing is you have a button. For me, E is one of the most easily hit keys on my keyboard. So E and space are the 2 buttons that I have no problem spamming repeatedly. So hotkey is E, press or released. And then it has 4 steps. Advance resets step 1, 3 seconds from the last hotkey press. This is so that when you're done spamming the button, after 3 seconds it resets back to step 1. So then we have 4 steps, and they all look pretty much identical. There's a lot of stuff in there. I'm sorry if it's super duper confusing. So first, everybody assists whoever I'm running the team with. Everybody interacts with target. Everybody tries to interrupt whoever their target is with their mind freeze. So these 3 are all totally normal. Here's where it gets confusing. It sends Control Alt 0 to 2. 2 slot is my first DK. 3 slot is my second DK. 4 slot is my third DK. 5 slot is my fourth DK. So you can see it just goes up in order. So, and then do not advance to the next step for at least 4 seconds. Wait, this should be 3. Shouldn't it? No, 4. Sorry. So then it does these. It does test 1, version 2 in this key map, and it sends it to my action target group of DKs. Now, my action target group of DKs includes my Paladin and all my DKs, in case that wasn't clear. So,